From what I can remember, Windows XP was my introduction to computers as a whole. I remember my family having an old laptop which ran it, attached to a modem which was plugged into the wall. I can remember the noise of the fans, always so obnoxiously loud as I played flash games or messed around in Scratch. But these memories are from so long ago and so faded that I wanted to create new memories with XP and delve into some more retro hardware. And in my room, collecting dust, was an HP Pavilion equipped with a Pentium 4, brandished with a sticker for the very operating system I wanted to use. This PC was offered to me by my uncle, as it was just sitting around wasting space, and since I didn't own any like it, I decided to take it in. It sat in my room for a while as I worked on other projects, until a day came where I had nothing to do. After finally giving it a clean, I was able to take a look at the specs. It's rocking a Pentium 4 519K, 1.5GB of DDR2 RAM, and a GeForce 6200. It didn't come with any storage, so I chucked in a 160GB drive, and since the onboard sound seemed to be broken, I also added in a Sound Blaster Live. With everything internally sorted, I had a machine that was good enough to start installing XP onto. Installing XP now is a fair bit more complicated than it would have been back in the day. One of the first obstacles I ran into was not actually having any blank disks to put XP on, so I resorted to using a USB to create a boot drive. Doing this took a fair few attempts, but thanks to the help of Corey and Rio, I finally got it all sorted and started installing XP. Using Easy to Boot was actually fairly simple, and within an hour of actual install time I was finally at the home screen. At the recommendation of Jacob, I installed Service Pack 4 and a couple other things. Got myself a browser, sorted drivers, and with that, I was all set. One day on the bus, I was thinking, I need a music player for XP since YouTube is so laggy. So I sent a message to Jacob who pointed me to Fubar 2000, which I downloaded when I got home and spent my night starting a music library for the machine. The main thing I like about Fubar is just how customizable it is. It didn't take me long until I had a comfy layout and a visualizer set up. Sorting albums and using playlists was easy, and I found it really enjoyable building my music collection, adding to the list of albums every couple days. With Fubar, listening to music while doing other tasks works fairly well, and thanks to the Sound Blaster Live, it all sounds pretty damn good. Often I'd boot the PC just to do some work on a video script while listening to music, or even to listen through an album. It was a lot easier to focus on the music without any distractions. I even listened to a whole Boards of Canada record in its entirety on the machine. Doing homework on the XP machine wasn't actually too bad. Word Online worked with no problems, and as I didn't have Discord installed, it was a lot easier to concentrate on my work. And thanks to my music collection, I could keep myself engaged a lot easier. Browsing the web is mostly fine, as long as you're a bit patient as you wait for the Pentium's single core to catch up. I'm using a fork of Pale Moon called New Moon, as support from Chrome is long gone and this browser is better optimized for XP. YouTube works, though, at around 360p resolution. Editing Google Docs is doable, although you might get a better experience out of just using Word. Twitter is a bit too slow for my scrolling habits, but considering we're only working with a single core, it's not doing too bad. The lack of hyperthreading on the Pentium and the 1.5GB of RAM means, as expected, switching between windows and attempting heavy multitasking is a bit of a struggle, so I tried to keep the amount of tabs I had open to a minimum. Now, installing Steam on XP is also a much more difficult process nowadays, due to discontinuation of support for XP, but with a few workarounds I got in. This countdown here just says 0 days no matter what you do, so it's really not an issue. There was something about this PC that made me excited to come home and tinker with it. I always look forward to trying something different with it, pushing its limits and testing how usable it was. The nights I didn't use it didn't feel complete. It felt like an essential part of my daily routine to just take some time to get away from everything and enjoy the simplicity and quirks of this PC. Having only played a bit of Skyrim, booting up Morrowind was an interesting experience. What really grabbed me though was the excellent music, and with that, I was off into the strange new part of Tamriel. City 17 looked a fair bit worse than I remembered, but ran well enough on the Pentium 4. Having not played the game in a while, it was definitely an interesting way to re-experience it, and doing so only made me more excited for when I could get my hands on Half-Life Alyx. Having never played this game before, I decided the XP machine was the right computer to try it out on. Hooking up a controller was seamless, and after tinkering with some controls, I jumped right into the streets of Bayview. UT99 was another game I'd never tried, but I was hooked from the minute I booted it up. The incredibly tight arena shooter style was so addicting, all the different weapons were satisfying, the maps were all diverse and interesting, and the music tied it all together. And the Pentium 4 only struggled when there were lots of particles in the midst of intense battles. I sat down one night to have a go at some more border patrol work, and unsurprisingly, the Pentium 4 could play this game with ease. My favourite moments were having to be incredibly ruthless and not let people through even if they were in danger, and of course some of the recurring characters. The only issue I ran into was the game crashing once, which it never seemed to do again. I'd gotten a fair bit through Halo before, but after restarting on XP I found myself a lot more hooked, despite playing on mostly low settings at 800 by 600 resolution. I spent a couple nights drifting around in the Warthog and getting rushed by elites. When taking in this old pavilion, I never expected I'd use it as much as I have. This old machine has helped me through some lonely nights. Its Pentium core may be old, but even after all these years, it can still kick some ass. Thanks for watching.